I just think people have to, to be a writer, you've got to put yourself on the line. You know, it's really exposing to put that down and then somebody reject you.
Yeah.
Because that's what
It's your baby, isn't it?
It's your baby. You've worked really hard, and I don't underestimate what that's like. Most of the successful writers writing today, whether it's film or telly, theatre, have been rejected at some point. They've had those knockbacks. As a writer, you've got to say, no, I'm going to do it again. And, you know, if you're an athlete, you would be training those muscles. Weirdly, with writing, people think, oh, well, I've done it once. Why aren't they just taking that on a first draft? And I would say, just think of the years it takes to hone your skills as a runner or something.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to people, the more you do, the better you get.
The art of rewriting is a massive part of being a writer, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so people might feel scared, oh, that person's rejected me, oh, no, that's it.
Yeah.
But even the professionals who are having their work done are rewriting and like you said, have had rejection before. So maybe that's something people don't always realise when they're new writers.
And I think Paul Abbott said it, writing is rewriting. And there was, Tony Graham's a writer, said, don't think about your first draft, think about the first read. And that's a big difference. You know, what is the impact of your script going to have on the reader? Not just put it in an envelope and send it off.
Yes. I noticed on your website also you have get a shiggle on.
Oh, get a squiggle. Yes, get a squiggle. So that's completely open competition for CBBS. We had last year, I think it was the year before, brilliant competition for CBBC. And one of those, Wolf Blood, is in production now, and that came through competition script, £1 million development. Wow. You know, that's writer we didn't know, and another series is in development from that. So, Get a Squiggle On is the first time we've worked with CBBS, and you know, CBBS is so great, but it's a different type of storytelling. So you have to think, you know, the world of the imagination. You know, one of the examples we talk about is Mr. Bloom's Nursery. Is that, you know, talking veg are quite normal to kids. You know, the Brian the courgette or whatever. You've got to suspend belief. We make sure the website puts all opportunities up for all writers, not just BBC One. Right. So if Channel 4 do something, we want.
So it's a good source for writers.
It's the best source, probably. Blowing our trumpet, but in the world, for that's fair, isn't it? For writer information, it's because the one thing we won't do is promote somebody who wants money for it.
Yeah. And what, like, you've given a bit of advice on, you know, about rewriting, and what other tips would you give for writers new writers wanting to get into the business of writing, whether it's TV, whether it's radio or film? Yeah. What kind of mindset should they be in? What should they be working towards? And if they have been rejected, what should they be thinking about doing?
I think, I suppose, two things. One is understand the business. When we work with writers, a lot of time people think, oh, I can either do telly or radio or theatre. Really good writers move between them. But each platform, you know, each way of writing, you've got to think, what's the best way of telling my story? Is it best suited to theatre or is it better suited to TV? Read other scripts. Watch, read or listen. A lot of the time people aren't looking at scripts. Our website has, I don't know if it's hundreds, but loads and loads of scripts. So again, feel what works.
So people can actually go on the website, read something that's been on.
Yeah,
and
Doctor
get a good
Who
feel.
or single films, radio dramas. They're all there for you to look at. Ask yourself the question when you get to the end of your own script is, well, what's that about? Because amazingly, a lot of scripts are about nothing. They don't have a story. They don't have characters that you care about, and they're polemic. Or they do something which I call flatline. They're a nice bunch of people. They're in quite an interesting world, but there's no jeopardy.
There's no obstacle.
There's nothing. No, yeah. So that very common. I think. Do I want to write for myself, which is a good thing, or do I want to be a writer? So that will really make the difference between how hard are you going to work at being a writer.
Yes.
And And sometimes working in the business helps you be a writer, so being a script editor or looking at other opportunities.
So gain experience as well within there, so they can have the chance to see what's going on and how it all works.
Yeah.
And you've run masterclasses before with writers. Can you tell me about some recent ones you've had?
I think this week Paul, one of the team, ran a masterclass with Tamasha. So I think a group of writers came from there. Next week doing something with Carly Theatre. So sometimes we do work very closely with theatres. In Leeds last week we had the big Television Writers Festival. So that was 250 people, 20 plus sessions, and a mixture of very specific masterclasses, like, script to screen on Holby, to Jimmy McGovern in conversation, or an opening session on is it the writer's responsibility to change the world? Things like that. So that was all good. With Get a Squiggle on, for example, the 9 best or 8 best we'll take away and develop their ideas and scripts. So we've also got a big project which came called the Writersroom 10, where we selected 10 writers from across the country, from 10 different theatres. And we're giving each of those writers £1,000, and they're developing their script over the year. And they're getting a BBC mentor. So there's lots of different things happening simultaneously. We're doing a short film project at the moment with B3 Media and called Sin East, which is specifically looking at Chinese and Southeast Asian talent, because they're very underrepresented on the screens. So all of those. And
is the submission, is that still going on, the deadline?
No, we've selected the projects now, so they're about to start going into production.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So.
And can you tell me, what do you like about working with the BBC in your job? What experiences have you really enjoyed?
There's lots of things. I love the range and the diversity of what I do. No day is ever the same. So that's also a plus and a minus, because sometimes I think just like to sit down quietly. I love when you read a script that's good. There is no better experience when you run into the office and you say, "Have you read this person?" That excitement. But on the other side, reading bad scripts is a bit depressing.
It's continuously one half the other.
And my daughter, who's 7, older mother, but she just gets so cross with scripts because they're all over the house, just the thousands of scripts. I travel a lot, so meeting people and hearing, because people are writers, but they're also the audience. So hearing what they think about the work of the BBC, what their opinions are, what they have to say opens my eyes. So that's great. And I think when you see a writer's work on screen that you gave, £150 tiny little seed corn development to, and then this and that, it's amazing. And that's happened on so many occasions.
Can you tell me about some of those success stories of people?
So, I suppose it's 16 months ago, we ran a brainstorming session in Newcastle with writers in Newcastle. And out of that, Brinkburn Street, which was a 5-part daytime series, came. So that's just been commissioned for a second series. Mark Catley, who was the lead writer on Casualty, he came from West Yorkshire Playhouse with a tiny pilot commission that we gave him at the theatre. We then championed him onto the Writers' Academy. One time we had an unsolicited script from a writer called Paul, who we just thought was amazing. We put him on a crime scheme, and he's now written Primeval, Silent Witness, Waking the Dead, developing other stuff. So lots and lots of people just come through. One time we had an unsolicited script that was so good, it was made into a radio drama by Mike Bartlett within months. Just a very, very fast turnaround.
It just goes to show, people put themselves out there, the opportunities that they've got. That when you see those people who started off with an unsolicited script, So it's nice to see how many opportunities there
Yeah.
are. And are there any sort of continuing dramas or new dramas that we should be looking out for this year that are going to be coming up?
Well, I think I'm not sure if the closing date's gone, but like E20, which is the spin-off from EastEnders, which is fantastic. Really looking for, real new London voices, and I think the younger up to 22, 23, and hopefully if that continues, they'll keep looking for that new talent across the board. E20. I mean, there's some amazing dramas that have just been, but The Hour's coming up on BBC Two. I think encourage people. EastEnders, very exciting.
Yeah.
So depends on what you like.
Yes, yeah.
It's there.
There's plenty of variety.
I commissioned The Wire, not The Wire. Right? In fact, I called The Wire before The Wire, on Radio 3, which is a strand of new writing. And really exciting plays coming up there. So people should keep their eyes on that one.
And all these opportunities and activities that have been happening, they're a yearly project, so that people...
No, we change all the time. That's the other thing, is we try not to repeat ourselves. Everything's done differently. So next year, for example, with comedy, we might look specifically for just studio audience comedies, because it's a dying art, and a lot of the time people want to do single camera or something, whereas what they want is those sitcoms they can record but feel modern and really kind of resonant. So that's what we'll do. We won't repeat.
It evolves, so you're always catching all areas, really.
And also, if people have ideas that they think we should think about, then they should just email us. We're relaunching the website, so there'll be lots more and different things on that, because we want to be able to respond, I think, to work as fast as we can, and make it I mean, it's an amazing site, but try and make it a more creative site as well.
And lastly, what direction, what kind of things would you like to see happen with BBC Writersroom and writing in general over the next sort of few years or so?
I think it's a balance, because it's what I want, but it's also what the audience wants. I really, really would like to see, those authentic voices out there. I think as the BBC moves, out of London as well, is developing the talent in the regions, and somewhere like the North, there's more writers per square inch than...
You've got BBC Writers North as well, isn't it?
Yes, we've got writers, yes. But with new Welsh writers and across the board, to see some TV drama that has been written by some of the fantastic writers, like the Debbie Tucker Greens, that kind of original series work would be brilliant. And just the important thing is the mix. We all like different things, and you've got to keep making sure there is an original mix of surprising drama. If we're not surprised, I think that's the danger.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasure.